Wow. Okay. Looks like I'm live. Um, I apologize, guys. This is one of the drawbacks to dealing with Grandpa because he's not necessarily all that technically savvy. I still don't know why I was having trouble logging in. Everything was set up, and I did this last week, and it went without a hitch. So I can't begin to tell you why. But I'm here now. So I hope some people will show up. I see Robert is here. We've been having a little chit chat um, on the message board here on the side, um, and he was trying to help me get set up. So Robert, thank you very much for your help. You had asked um, about anxiety that you have. Is in your chat, it says, when I'm coming to school every 2 weeks. Can you clarify that for me just a little bit? Are you saying you only get anxious every 2 weeks, or you only go to school every 2 weeks and that's when you get anxious? I'm not quite sure. Uh, I follow exactly what it is that you're trying to say, but I can address the causes of anxiety are really very basic and fundamental, and it's the same really for just about everybody. There are um, basic fundamental aspects about our life experience that cause us to experience a certain amount of I don't want to say fear, that's too strong of a word, but concern, apprehension, uneasiness, all of those types of words. And what it really always boils down to, okay, that each person has what we call core beliefs. And some core beliefs are positive core beliefs, and some core beliefs are negative core beliefs. And these core beliefs are learned. You learn them from the minute you come out of your mother's womb, the way you are treated, the way you interact with your family, with people in the neighborhood, with teachers, with kids on the block. Just about everybody influences you by the way they treat you. So a child comes into this world with certain expectations. Now they can't verbalize that, but there are in our DNA, in our genetics, there are built-in expectations. Okay. One of those expectations is that your mother who birthed you is going to take care of you, that your mother is going to feed you. Remember, we're mammals. So an infant needs a primary caregiver who is almost always the mother, and the mother feeds the baby. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Okay. And the mother is supposed to nurture the child, and so is the father. Okay. But sometimes children have the unfortunate luck, if you want to will say it that way, of born into households where the parents are not particularly good uh, caretakers. They have their own issues a lot of times, and they kind of take it out on the kids inadvertently. But if your parents are constantly telling you that you're stupid, or that you're lazy, or you're ugly, or you're unlovable, any of those types of things, if you keep getting that message over and over as a child, it's going to imprint in your brain. Your neural pathways have not finished developing. They don't finish developing till we're in our mid 20s. So all of this negativity implants. Now, you probably don't even remember most of it, if any. but it was there. Um, if, let's say, for example, I'm just making this up now, but let's just say your mom's a drug addict or an alcoholic. And sometimes she's passed out on the sofa. Sometimes she's away from the house. You don't know when she's coming home. Um, that causes you to be fearful because as a young child, you can't take care of yourself. And you know that. You have to have a caretaker who will take care of you, keep you alive, feed you, change your diaper, all of those things. And if you don't get that, if there's a shortcoming there, a shortage of nurturing, you're going to grow up believing in scarcity. You're going to grow up believing that bad things are just around the corner. You're not going to know why, but that's been your experience as a child. That you can't depend on people. The people who are supposed to love you and take care of you are undependable. You have to take care of yourself. And of course, a young child is not capable of doing that. So it creates a conflict there. But the real thing is the message that you get as a child. The messages you get, maybe you have older siblings who are jealous of you and they don't like you and they pick on you. Or maybe you go to school and for whatever reason you're bullied and people tell you you're ugly and you're not lovable and they insult you and tell you that there's things wrong with you. Well, if you're constantly being barraged with that type of stuff, you're going to believe it. Okay. You won't have any choice because you're young and you don't know any better. You don't have any experience to base it off of. So you grow up thinking that there's something wrong with you. Everybody's told you there's something wrong with you. So you believe it. It's not true, but you don't know that. You believe it. So deep, deep, deep down inside, where nobody else can see, and you don't want anybody else to see, you don't want anybody to know just how frightened you really are, that there's something wrong with you and you can't put your finger on it, but you're afraid that you're unlovable. You're afraid that if you don't make people happy, if you don't do right, if you're not perfect, people are going to leave you. They will abandon you. You will be left to your own devices. And for most people, that's a pretty terrifying thought. Okay. So all of that gets carried forward. Remember this emotional, it's a very intense emotion and it imprints in our brain and we carry it into our adult life. Now, all the events that took place, most of them, not all, but most of them, we've forgotten about them. We don't remember them. But the fear is locked into our subconscious and it's always there. So let's take your situation now. I'm trying to fill in the dots here, but it sounds like what you may be afraid of, uh, what you may be afraid of is that people are going to see through your outside, right? All of us try to put this facade out for the public to see. We try to act like we're all confident and cocky and we're all this and all that. But deep down inside, we're not. We're scared to death people are going to find out we're imposters. Okay. So maybe your fear is you're going to go to school and you're afraid you're not going to be prepared and something's going to happen. You're going to have to answer questions that you don't have answers for. You're going to appear to be stupid. You're afraid people are going to laugh at you. And all of that that's all the anxiety is. It's this fear, this anticipation that something bad is going to happen in the future. Okay. And really, when you get right down to it, what you're talking about is your imagination. Anxiety, bottom line, is kind of, you could say it this way. You could say that it's a result of an overactive imagination. You're imagining, let's think about it. You're on your way to school, you're on a bus, you're driving, you're walking, whatever you're doing, and you're thinking about what's going to happen in the next hour or two when you go to school, when you go to class. So you're on your way there, but your mind is already there. You're thinking about the future. You're thinking about what's going to happen in an hour. Something bad is going to happen. People are going to laugh at me. I'm going to feel humiliated. This is going to be awful. And you start getting that upset stomach and that shallow breathing, and the cortisol starts to pump, and all these physiological changes start taking place. And that's when you know you're anxious, because you feel it. You literally feel the anxiety. Okay. Keep in mind, we don't say we think anxiety, we say we feel anxiety. So it's the feeling that you get is the exact same feeling that you get when you're afraid. It's fight or flight. That's what's happening to you as you are on your way to school and you're anxious. You slip into fight or flight mode simply based on what you're thinking might happen. Okay. You don't know this. You don't have any proof for it. Maybe there have been times in the past something has happened, but that's in the past. That's gone. That's not here anymore. And the future isn't here either. So all there is right now. And right now, you're safe. Nothing's happening. You're perfectly okay. All right. So you have to, I'm giving you the 5 minute version of this. Okay. But it takes a lot of work and a lot of time for a person to explore what their negative core beliefs are, and to do the work to come to realize that those core beliefs aren't true. They never were true. They weren't true. It's just what you were told. You were lied to when you were younger. Those bullies who picked on you were lying to you. Your siblings who picked on you and told you you were dumb or stupid or ugly or unlovable, they were lying to you. All of it is a lie. Everyone, when they're born, everyone is fundamentally healthy and sane and perfectly okay. It's not until we get out into this world and we start experiencing all this negativity that we start to believe negative things about us that are not true. Okay. But the biggest one, the biggest fear by far, is that I'm thinking to myself, and it's subconscious, it's not really something I say out loud necessarily, but my belief is, if I don't make people happy, if I'm not a people pleaser, or if I'm not the absolute best, if I'm not perfect, I've got to be perfect. Otherwise, people will shun me. They won't want to have anything to do with me. I'll be isolated and alone in this world. And for mammals, and we're mammals, think about this. When a uh, a female wolf has a litter, if one of those baby wolves only has two legs, what does the pack do? They leave it. They leave it. That deformed wolf is not going to be allowed to live. So they abandon it, and it dies. Okay. So fundamentally, at the most fundamental level, that's what we're afraid is going to happen. Everyone is going to shun us. We're going to be alone and isolated, and that means death. So that's where the intensity of the anxiety comes from. Okay. It's not true, but we don't know that. We have to be in therapy, do a lot of self-help type of reading and work to overcome these misbeliefs that were imprinted into us when we were younger. Okay. So there are things that you can say or do to help yourself get on the right track. But I've spent a good bit of time here tonight talking about this. We can carry this conversation on further. Maybe there's others who are tuned in right now who this might resonate with them as well. A lot of the people who listen to my ASMR videos are doing that because they're having trouble sleeping. And all that tells me is that their mind is working overtime, they're stressed out, and they're experiencing anxiety. And it's anxiety they can't let go of, and it's keeping them awake. They just ruminate, and it just goes over and over and over, and they just keep having the same thoughts all the time, and they toss and turn, and they can't go to sleep. Well, that's anxiety. That's what it is. There's a little anxiety there. Now, some people have been traumatized. Um, they've experienced physical abuse or sexual abuse, or maybe they were in a near death incident where they thought they were going to die, or they saw someone being killed. Um, they've been traumatized. Okay. And that's kind of a different story. That's PTSD. And that has to be addressed in a slightly different manner. Okay. But if you don't have any of those real outstanding traumas, you're just dealing with average garden variety anxiety. And I don't mean to make light of it, believe me, but the answer is basically the same for everybody. So we have to work on improving our self esteem. Okay. We have to surround ourselves with positive people who lift us up and stop hanging around people who are negative and tear us down. And we have to start building our own self esteem up. And there's help out there to get it. So I hope that was a help to you. Now I'm going to move on now, if you don't mind, and see. Let me read some of these other comments to see what other people have on their minds. Okay. Do you have any recommendations for someone who gets overwhelmed by sounds easily? I have difficulty focusing, even with sounds, all the way on the other side of the house. Okay. Well, that's, I don't want to I don't want to pretend that I'm doing a diagnosis here. Okay. Because just based on a few sentences, I, I wouldn't even begin to try to diagnose you. But what I can say is what it sounds like it could be. All right. Um, PTSD. I just got finished mentioning that. People who have been in the military, for instance, and they were in war zones where there were bombs going off all the time, they become hypersensitive to loud noises. Okay. If a car backfires, they'll hit the ground because they think it's a bomb going off. And so they are very sensitive to loud, unexpected noises, especially. Okay. Some people have, and I've mentioned it on here, a slight kind of disorder, I guess, neurological situation called misophonia. And basically, what it means is certain sounds, um, typically the sound of somebody chewing food and popping their mouth or popping gum, uh, or just other sounds like that, they just irritate the hell out of them. They drive them crazy. They can't stand it. And so, I mean, I have misophonia, and it took me half my life to figure out what was going on. I thought I was just an impatient jerk. I couldn't give people a break because they were popping gum. I was just furious. And then I found out, well, it wasn't their problem. I mean, it was me. You've got misophonia. So once you learn that, you can research it and Google it and find out some tricks and things that you can do to kind of try to help yourself deal with the noises. Okay. Now, the only other thing that comes to my mind um, is ADHD. A lot of people who have ADHD have an extremely difficult time focusing when there's a lot of noise. They have to have quiet in order to focus on whatever task is in front of them. And so you'll see some people, they'll get permission to take, if they have to take an exam, they'll put on headphones so they don't hear car, chairs scraping and people coughing and just making all kinds of crazy noise. They can't stand it. It disrupts their concentration. So, other than maybe something to do with your hearing that I'm just not aware of, I can't think of what else I might suggest to you. Um, you might want to get your hearing checked out. I would suggest that. And if you feel like you're being overwhelmed by these sounds, that's something you absolutely need to look into. Have a professional, maybe start with your primary care doctor and see what they can suggest, where how to cope with it. Okay, maybe something that can be fixed fairly easily. I don't know, but if you don't have to deal with it, then don't. Okay. Okay. Let's see what else. Right. Do you think the modern dating is skewed and ruined for the most part compared to what it was like for you? Well, man, talk about a loaded question. I don't know, man. Um, is it skewed? I don't know. I don't really quite know what your meaning is when you say skewed and ruined. It seems to me, from what I can see, that let me just put it this way: I wouldn't want to be young now. Honest to God, I really wouldn't. I don't want my social life to be restricted to a cell phone and talking to people. And uh, it's really kind of the easy way out of times. You don't develop your social skills and your self confidence if you use texting to break up with somebody or to ask them out. You don't take as much risk anymore. People kind of hide behind this electronic technology and to be safe, basically play it safe. So you have to learn how to deal with adversity. You have to learn how to be told no to your face. You ask somebody out, they say, "No, I don't want to go out with you. I'm not interested." Well, it's not fun. Nobody likes it, but it trains you on how to deal with these things. Okay. And when you just text them and say you want to go out, and maybe they don't even answer you, you haven't risked anything. Okay. So I don't know if that's really addressed your question or not. I mean, I'm not dating, so I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know what it like. Um, so I don't know if that helps or not. Okay. So Adams ASMR, hi, been watching your videos recently, really loving them. Keep it up. Watching from Ireland. Okay, Ireland. Well, welcome, Ireland. Welcome from America. Um, let's see what else we got here. Frog flip. No military for me, just regular childhood PTSD. Haha. Thank you for the advice. Well, you said haha, and so I don't really quite know how to interpret that, but it's perfectly possible for a child to have PTSD. Okay. It's not unusual at all. A lot of people at first, back in World War I, they called it, I don't know what they call battle fatigue, maybe something like that. For the thinking used to be that only people in war and combat develop PTSD, but then they've since learned that that's not true. You don't have to experience one major trauma, although a lot of times people do to get PTSD. If you're in combat and your best friend next to you is blown to smithereens, that's going to shake you up. Okay. So that's what most people think of when we say PTSD. But in reality, there are what they call micro traumas. Okay, just a series, an unending series, day in and day out, of little minor traumas. Okay. So, like I described before, if I go to school and I'm different somehow, whatever, wrong color, who knows? Maybe I'm overweight, whatever it is, and people pick on me every day. I get bullied. Okay. That's a micro trauma, and it tells you that you're not safe, that this school, this place, these people are not safe to be around, and I have to get away from here. So what happens? You get depressed, you isolate, um, but you've been traumatized. Okay, so don't poo-poo the little stuff. Okay, because it all adds up. It all goes into the pot. Anytime that are you get in a fist fight as a kid, that's a trauma. Okay, you get knocked off your bike, that's a trauma. All kinds of things go into that. All right. So I hope that kind of addresses that question for you. Uh, let's see what this frog flip also says. Not sure if the title of this live was meant to be rhetorical, but I think that people trust strangers because humans want to assume the best in each other when they can. Okay. All right. Um, I can understand that. I think that's probably a pretty logical uh, conclusion to come to. Um, but here's the thing. And this is where a lot of people get into trouble. Okay, especially people pleasers. Okay, people pleasers. I have to make you happy in order for you to like me. And if I'm not making you happy, you're not going to like me. So these people are real quick because they want relationship. So they're real quick to buy whatever people are selling them. Okay. And this is where narcissists um, jump into the equation, and they're looking for people who are needy. They need companionship, they need validation. So the narcissist gives that to them. They tell them how beautiful they are, how smart they are, how great they look, and just on and on and on and on. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Trust is something that has to be earned. Okay. It is not to be freely given. And that's where people make their mistake. They give trust to strangers who don't deserve it. They haven't earned it. They haven't done anything to show you that they are trustworthy. And so what happens? You get burned over and over. You trust too quickly, you eggs, and it comes back to bite you in the butt every time. Okay. So my when I put that title out there, what I was thinking in my head was um, we in this country, I don't know about the rest of the world, but in this country, we are starved for companionship, for connection. This country is absolutely starved. We are just a complete nation of isolated in our room little cells that don't have any physical contact with other people. They don't talk to other people. We don't go on camping trips or do fun things, go to the ball game or the music. We don't do any of that stuff anymore. We're all alone. And so if I isolate myself too much, I'm going to be prone. Um, I'm going to become needy. I'm going to want companionship, and I'm going to take chances that I shouldn't necessarily take. I wouldn't ordinarily take, and I'll trust you because you tell me you're a nice guy. I'll trust you. I'll believe you, and because I want that validation so bad. Um, but it doesn't work out, and you get burnt, and it just makes you become a little more cynical and isolated, and then it becomes a cycle. Okay. So let's see here. Wishborn Angel, you commented to Frog Flip, consider sensory overload as well. I agree about some headphones or earbuds just to cut some down for you when it is troublesome. Sensory overload, absolutely, absolutely. Sensory overload is an issue, a real common issue with people who have PTSD and for people who have ADHD. Okay, very typical problem. You get sensory overload and you freak out. You don't know what your brain can't take that much stimulation. Okay, you need quiet. All right. So what else we got here? C, PTSD in childhood is an interesting concept too. Sometimes difficult to wrap my head around. Yeah. Yeah, it's something you have to really kind of study and explore, try to understand. Um, well, you have to think, first of all, about the title. Um, we always use the initials PTSD. I don't know how many people really even know what that stands for. Okay. What is PTSD? Well, it stands for post after traumatic trauma uh, syndrome, right? PTSD. I don't know what the D is. Post traumatic disorder. That's what it is. Post traumatic stress disorder. And so, what it means is if you, let's go back to that warfare situation. Your best friend beside you gets shot and killed, and it's really gruesome. Okay. When that happens, at the moment, in the time, and for the following weeks, maybe afterwards, you probably are going to be upset. All right. You're going to be freaking out about what you just saw. Your mind's going all kinds of places. You're going to be scared to death. You're going to be all kinds of things, survivor guilt, all kinds of crazy things are going to be going through your head. You'll be reliving the incident. You'll see it over and over and over again. You won't be able to sleep. You'll have when you finally fall asleep, on and on and on. Okay. That's normal. That's normal. When something really gruesome and traumatic happens and you see it, it's normal for you to react that way. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with that in and of itself. It becomes a problem though when way out into the future, maybe a year later, you're still having those intense reactions to an event that took place a year ago. So that's where the post comes in. It's after, substantially after the initial event, I'm still suffering symptoms. Okay. That's when it becomes PTSD. All right. So that can go on and it can be subtle. Maybe you don't recognize the symptoms. And it's what happens to a lot of people who've been exposed to trauma and they don't realize that the way they feel is PTSD. They think what they're feeling is just kind of normal. It's what way I've always felt. So somebody asked me on here about me being a substance abuse counselor. Okay. So I'm probably not going to have enough time to really get into it big tonight, but let me say that people who have a great deal of anxiety, or maybe they have, um, other neurological situations. Maybe you're very depressed. People learn quickly that one quick, easy solution to those negative feelings is to get high, smoke a joint, drink a beer, do whatever, and all of a sudden you feel better. Well, if you're 13 years old and you're going to a party, a boys and girls party, maybe it's one of the first ones you've ever been to, and you're nervous because you're in puberty now. And now you're starting to notice. You're starting to notice little boys and girls and be attracted to them, and your body's going through all kinds of changes. So you're anxious, you're nervous. You don't want to go to this party and make a fool of yourself. So you kind of become a wallflower. You don't say much anything. You kind of hang back and try to blend in. But Here's the thing, you discover that after you've had a beer, you can become somebody then. All of a sudden, you've got a sense of humor and you're projecting out and you feel good about yourself. And now you're talking to the other and you feel like you're pretty something, okay? And it came from that beer. And it doesn't take you long to learn that lesson. I get anxious in crowds, in mixed company, whatever. But if I've had a drink, I can loosen up. And that's where it all starts. Okay. It starts for so many people who have addiction issues. It starts around the time of puberty. Not for everybody, of course, but for a lot of people. Okay. So one thing leads to another, and the more you use, the more you need it. You develop tolerance for whatever drug you're using, and after the next thing you know, you're addicted, and you didn't even see it coming. You don't even know what happened. So that's kind of my story, right? And I drank well to excess, but thank God, not for all that long. I was only in my mid 30s when I realized I got a serious problem. I was making a lot of very foolish mistakes in my life, and they were all alcohol fueled. Okay, so I got lucky. I realized what was going on. A history of drug and alcohol abuse in my family, so I knew what it looked like. So it was easy for me to recognize. And so I stopped. And I didn't stop really on my own. I was anonymous and became a very serious member of Alcoholics Anonymous and continued to go to meetings. I still go to one meeting a week. It's not because I have to, it's because I want to give back a little bit of what was given to me on the love and nurturing I got there. So that's how I became interested. I wanted to help other people. And I'd always been interested in psychology and what makes people tick and all that. So I said, I think I'm going to go back to school and get my degree in counseling and do my internship and take my state exam. And I'll get my license to be a therapist. And at the same time that I'm doing that, I'll take some classes on substance abuse and substance abuse counseling. And by that time, I'd already been sober maybe 30 years, 25, 30 years. So I hate to sound cocky, but it's true. I already knew everything I needed to know to get that substance abuse certificate. Okay. I was already trained. So it was a natural. I just paid my fee, took my test, and I was good to go. So that's how I got that. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of it in a nutshell. I hope I hope that answers your question. Hey, look who's here. It's Ashling. Hey, sorry I'm late. Hey, don't you worry about it. I was late. Okay. For some reason I was having a technical issue logging on to the chat, and it took me, I don't know, 5, 6 minutes to get it solved. So anyhow, you're here now. And that's good. That's good. Okay. So I've been doing a lot of talking. Anybody else got any comments, questions, observations, complaints? You name it. Anything, any questions for me? Feel free to ask. I'm right here. I'm an open book. I did put out another video today. Um, I don't know. When I do these things, I don't know if they're any good or not. Um, so anyhow, I hope you guys will check it out. And please be honest with me. I need you to be honest. If there are things about these videos that need correcting, um, I want to know what they are. Okay. I need to know what they are so I can improve. It is not going to hurt my feelings. Okay. Not going to hurt them. So please be honest with me. Let me know what's going on. Okay. So, Ashling, you're asking me, do you have any movies you recommend to educate yourself more with addiction? And it just so happens that I have a great one. Okay, it's not a dramatic movie per se. It's really kind of more of an educational film, but it is hands down the best film I've ever seen to explain the phenomenon of addiction and craving. Okay, and it was written and produced, uh, moderated by a physician who is an alcoholic in recovery, and he gives the best explanation I've ever heard. The name of the film is uh, Pleasure Unwoven. Pleasure Unwoven. I can't remember the guy's name who did it, but if you Google Pleasure Unwoven, you'll find it. Okay. If anyone is interested in learning about addiction, I highly recommend that film. Okay, you'll learn real fast that addiction has absolutely nothing to do with willpower. Okay, it is not being addicted to a substance is not a sign of being weak. It's a sign of having a physiological disorder. Okay, that's all it is. It's a disorder, and it'll explain it. It will. My experience throughout life has been when I find out there's a name for what's wrong with me, I feel relieved. It's like, God, I always thought I was nuts. I didn't think I was like anybody else. Now I'm finding out there's a lot of people just like me. It's a relief. It's a relief to know you're not alone. And trust me, you're not. Okay. So someone else in here. Hi, Romeo. I'm good, buddy. How are you? Um, Train Spotting is a great movie. Okay, thank you, Romeo. I don't know that one. Okay, Train Spotting. I'll have to check that one out. Thanks for the recommendation. All right. So, what do we want to talk about? You guys got any topics? Anything on your mind you'd like to bring up? Um, I've been watching a lot of ASMR videos, and I'm going to just express my own opinion here. Of course, it's always subject to change, but it seems to me that there's really kind of a limited number of topics that people do videos on. There's the barbershop one, there's the cranial exam, there's the doctor's visit, there's a massage. There's others. Obviously there's others, but it seems like it seems to me like there's people just keep repeating them and doing the same one. Sometimes you see the same artist doing the same theme over and over, and I wonder myself why. So, how do y'all feel about seeing um, what seems to me a kind of a limited menu of ASMRs? How do y'all feel about that? Do you get enough? Is there enough creativity? Would you like to see different topics, more kind of out of the box type stuff? I'd love to know your feelings about that. So, Romeo, you're asking me what made you get into ASMR? Well, I think I mentioned it before. I was watching ASMR a few years back, and I didn't know what it was. I was watching a cooking channel where they it was a Asian, I believe, channel, and they made these absolutely beautiful pastries and desserts, but they did everything very, very deliberately and neatly and with intention. And I started watching it, and I thought to myself, Bob, this is hypnotizing you, man. You're really getting into watching this. They weren't talking. They never said anything. You never saw their face. All you saw were their hands and their utensils. And I thought, oh my God, this is cool, man. This is awesome. I don't know what's happening here, but this is really pretty cool. And so the more videos I watched, I noticed that I was seeing that hashtag ASMR. And so I finally Googled it just to find out what it was and found out what it was all about. I thought, oh my God, this is really neat. Um, and so I don't know how I found her right away, but the first woman I saw, person I saw who was doing it was ASMR Darling. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was watching her because I thought she was cute as a button, and I got kind of hooked on it, interested in it. Um, I'm going to tell you the truth. Some of it I can't stand. I'm not going to lie to you. Some of it just doesn't make a bit of sense to me at all. Now it's different strokes for different folks. If stuff is your jam, then you go for it. But it's not mine. I'm not going to do those types of like the fast and aggressive. What I'm thinking to myself, what in the world does that have to do with relaxing? This is supposed to help people relax, and you're just jamming more stimulus down their throat. I don't get that. Maybe it works for some people, but not for me. So, yeah, yeah, that's kind of how I got in. And I put it down for a while, didn't do much with it. And then I started thinking, I'm getting older now, right? And I still work 1 day a week, but I'm trying to cut back. But be perfectly honest with you, because of some of the foolish choices I made when I was a lot younger, my retirement and what I have to live on is not what it should be for somebody my age. So I need to supplement my income. And I thought, this ASMR is really fun. I like it. I enjoy it. And it looks like maybe you can monetize it. I don't have to make a lot of money, but if I can make a couple of bucks doing this, that'd be fine. It's kind of supplement my retirement. So, and you can do it at home. You don't have to go anywhere. Um, so that kind of got me interested in it. And honestly, since then, since I put out a few videos, the first ones didn't do much anything, right? You get a few hundred clicks and then maybe 1,000 clicks, but it's nothing special happening till I started doing some ASMR videos, and all of a sudden they just took off. And I'm not going to lie to you, man. These comments that I get, these compliments, that's that's my drug. That's my, I'm serious. Man, I love getting all the compliments. I just can't deny it. So instant feedback, right? You put something out there and almost immediately you get feedback. And that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. So that's a lot of it. Probably all of it, but it's a lot of it. Uh, so let's see here. I think this is Ashley again. I think that when people get one hit of a certain role play, they do it repeatedly to keep getting the same results. Okay. All right. So that's an interesting observation, Ashley. Let's think about that for 1 second. Uh, one of the characteristics of addiction, okay, is that the substance, our bodies develop uh, resistance to the substance, so that when the first time you drink, you can get drunk on a beer. Then after a few years, it takes a six pack. So you're developing a resistance to the drug that's in it, the alcohol. It takes more and more and more to achieve the desired result. Okay, and that's how people overdose. It's how people really, that's how they get addicted. You know, after you've had the first high off of cocaine, it's never the same after that. You spend the rest of your using years trying to duplicate that effect, and you can't. So you have to keep using more and more and more, and you get less and less in return. Okay. So my question then, now that's an addiction to a substance. There are also behavioral addictions. Okay. Shopping can be an addiction. Pornography it can be an addiction. Eating can be an addiction. You name it. Anything, any of those things can be addictions. There are a lot of addictions. Okay, they're behavioral. Some people I think are addicted to working out. Okay, um, so there's all kinds of addictions. And so my question, Ashley, is it possible to become addicted to a role play? Do you find that watching the same artist over and over, you get less and less from it, and that you have to constantly look for new artists to do the role play that you enjoy? Um, that's something to think about, isn't it? Um, but the reason I brought that up about the limited number of topics, well, and I understand it. If that's what works, that's what people are going to do. Most people are not going to experiment a whole lot with role plays or whatever if nobody else is doing it. Why should you? Okay. But I was thinking about doing one. I talked to a woman here on the chat, and she was really sad. Her she had to put her dog down a few weeks ago, and she was really depressed, just really, really heartbroken. And I could relate. I'm a dog lover, and I've had to put my dogs down, and it breaks your heart. I'm here to tell you, it'll tear you up. So I kind of knew what she was going through, and I thought, I wonder if I could do an ASMR, and the situation would be that I'm giving a dog a shampoo, and I'm rubbing it and cleaning it, and I would figure out some way to pour some water so it sounded like I was rinsing the dog off, and get a towel and towel it dry and all that stuff. Um, at first, I thought that's kind of cool. You could probably do that. Um, but then I thought, well, I don't know. Maybe people won't dig that too much because it's not about me tending to them. It's me tending to an animal. And I don't know how I don't know how interesting that would be for people, but I think I'm going to try it anyhow. Just put it out there. If nobody likes it, nobody likes it, but doesn't cost anything. So I think I'm going to try it. Um, okay, let's see here. Okay, Chandler says that you start to lose the feeling after so many videos. Okay, all right, interesting. Uh, Ashley says, I would love to see you do whatever you like, honestly. The ASMR community is very diverse. Anything that you want to make will be great to watch. You have a natural talent. Well, thank you. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Yeah, so I think maybe that's one of the other reasons I like this format is because it's pretty painless to experiment, really. It doesn't take a whole lot. You know, investing weeks and weeks and weeks of your time, to have something flop. Do it and see what happens, right? All right. So you like that idea, huh? Okay, Ashley, you got to run. I know you got to get up and go to work. I hope you fall asleep quickly. Okay. Um, Lots of love back to you, Ashley. Have a nice week, and I'll be putting more content out shortly. Okay. All right. All right. Who else we got? We got about 5 or 6 other folks on here still. That's a good thing. Anybody got anything they want to throw out there? Where did those heart bubbles come from? Oh, okay. If I click on this, there it is. Okay. I just learned something. See, I'm still just learning how to use all this stuff. The reason my videos are so rough is because I don't know how to edit. I really don't. I'm learning a little bit here, a little bit there, but, I don't know how to edit a video. I wanna learn. I think I can make them a lot better once I do, but, hey, Rome wasn't built in a day. Alright. Well, we've been up running for about 55 minutes here. Looks like we still got 7 folks online here. That's good. That's encouraging. Um, Anybody got anything they wanna throw out? Anything you got any ideas for a, video that you might like to see? Love to know about that. Um, well, I'm getting kinda talked out here, so I might be about ready to sign off. I hope you guys, will take a look at this new video I did today. Uh, okay, here's a new one. Dovid Tober? Dovid Tober? I hope I said that right. Oh, Duvid Tober. I'm sorry, man, I know I'm butchering it. I've just discovered your channel and genuinely think you are amazing. Thank you very much. I'm very, really seriously appreciate that. Appreciate it. Okay, Romeo, I can see you're an interesting person. Maybe you can do some reading videos or storytelling videos. Very relaxing. Well, Romeo, as it happens, I just did. That's the kinda the one I just put up today. It's not 100% reading, but there's some. I can tell you that it didn't turn out the way I had hoped. I'm not really pleased with it. I've seen some other reading videos, and I thought, "Oh, those are nice. That's good. I like that." But I didn't really, um, I should have rehearsed. I should have rehearsed. I read a couple of poems, and you really have to read them a few times. You can't just sit down and read it out loud and expect it to sound good. So, I apologize for not, uh, putting out a smoother finished product there. But I wanted to do that. I wanted to do a reading video, um, storytelling videos. Yeah, they are relaxing. Yeah. And I got some stories. I got some stories I could tell you. Um, you guys might find that interesting. Um, I've done a lot of different things in my life. You know, when I was drinking, um, I was not particularly dependable. You know, I wasn't real dependable. So consequently, I had a lot of jobs, did a lot of things, moved around the country quite a bit, um, tried different things. I've always been interested in this idea of reinventing yourself. You know, so I could make a list. Maybe I should. Maybe I should make a list of all the major jobs that I've had and post it. I could post it up, uh, on here in advance of the next live stream, so you guys could see some of that and give some thought to any questions you might have about some of the jobs that I've had, what I've done. It's been pretty fun, honestly. Um, I'm glad I quit drinking when I did. I don't think I'd be alive today. I'm sure I wouldn't. There's no question of that, really. Um, okay. So you like that idea, Romeo? Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Could tell you some pretty interesting stories from when I was younger. Yep. All right, guys. Look, I'm worn out. It's just about an hour. So I'm gonna call it a night. I see you've got a couple of newcomers on board. Sorry, we're getting ready to wrap up now. Um, who is this? Samantha Taylor. Tell them as stories as part of your ASMR. That would be wonderful. Okay. Hey, that's a pretty cool idea. Tell them as stories as part of your ASMR. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And I can think of some kind of related sounds and movements and whatnot that could fit in to those. Uh, cool idea. Very cool idea. See, this is what I love about this. I don't have to come up with all the ideas. You guys are every bit as creative as I am, if not more so. So I appreciate all of your feedback. Very nice. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Y'all have a nice, safe week. Take care of yourself. It's going to be cold. So if you're on the East Coast or middle of America, stay warm, people. All right. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye bye.